Daniel O'Neill is a British YouTuber with a channel called English Woodsman, where he has been posting videos about his experiences with wild camping, stealth camping, and woodland camping in the UK for nearly 10 years. Most of the channel's content includes reviews of camping gear and footage of his adventures in the great outdoors. Typically, the videos are quite calm, but in August 2023, he uploaded footage of a camping trip in the woods near his home that turned out to be rather unsettling. In the first part of the video, Daniel walks through the woods, talks to his subscribers, eats berries, and points out various landmarks along the way to his campsite. Several times during the hike, he stops to point out footprints and litter on the trail, indicating that other people had been there recently.
What a mess. Even over here, this is worse. They're doing them balloons out.
After about 20 minutes of walking, he stops in a clearing where he plans to camp for the night. He leans back against a tree to eat his noodles while talking to the camera. It's only around the 25-minute mark of the video that things start to become genuinely unsettling for Daniel.
We're going to be out Friday night, but I'm going away Saturday, so I've got a bit of a drive as well, so I didn't want to be tired, and it's going to throw it down Friday night as well, and rain camping is really good.
Despite the sound of what seemed to be distinctly human-like footsteps coming from directly behind him, when he turns around to scan the area, there's no one in sight. The most disturbing part is that as soon as he turns and shouts, "Hello," the footsteps immediately stop and remain silent for several minutes. Daniel sits down, trying to regain his composure by sipping his coffee and eating his noodles, but the situation becomes even more eerie as the sun begins to set.
There's that noise again now. Hello? Hello? You got to better hear that. There's nobody here.
About 40 minutes into the video, the footsteps start up again, and this time they sound like they're getting closer to Daniel. At this point, most people would have bolted without hesitation, but he chooses to sit back down to finish his dinner, trying for a second time to calm his nerves. Surprisingly, a few minutes later, he seems to almost forget about the footsteps entirely, managing to focus on less unsettling thoughts, an impressive display of self-control. However, as night falls, the eerie footsteps begin once more.
I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I'm going to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments, but I can't stay here. I'm too unsettled. I'm nervous. I've done camping like this a load of times.
After the third unsettling incident, Daniel understandably decides to move to another location for the night, opting not to take any risks. It's hard to say what was making those noises, but since they sounded very much like human footsteps, it's possible someone was stalking him in the woods. This could have been extremely dangerous, as being alone in an isolated area leaves you particularly vulnerable. Alternatively, it could have been an animal, but Daniel pointed out that the slightly damp ground wouldn't have made the dry, crisp sound if it had been an animal walking on it. Moreover, many viewers in the comments mentioned that animals don't walk with such uniformity and consistency. They tend to stop, go, and change pace frequently. Either way, leaving the area was undoubtedly the right decision, as no one can predict what might have happened to Daniel that night. Lisa is a life coach and YouTuber who often shares videos about her life in a van and her solo adventures while traveling across the country. One afternoon in 2022, Lisa had parked her van by the side of the road and left the side door open while cooking dinner inside. Suddenly, a sketchy-looking man approached, stuck his head into the van without permission, and started asking her some rather strange questions in French, a language Lisa doesn't speak. When she told him she didn't understand, the man pulled out a translation app to try to communicate with her, a situation that made her very uncomfortable, especially because in addition to invading her personal space, Lisa had no interest in speaking to him. After watching him struggle to use Google Translate for a few minutes, Lisa lost her patience, shut the van's side door in his face, and pulled the curtain shut, hoping to send a clear message. Incredibly, the man stayed outside in the rain for over half an hour, still fiddling with the translation app in an attempt to communicate with her, despite it being more than obvious that Lisa wanted nothing to do with him.
Just moved even closer so that I can't move out and so that I can't go forward. Please leave. Please leave, you sketchy person. Please leave.
With increasingly suspicious behavior, the man hid in the bushes and practically began spying on Lisa from a distance, as if he thought she couldn't see him. As the sun started to set, Lisa kept an eye on him to make sure he didn't try to get close again. However, the man continued inching his car closer to her van, repeatedly blocking her exit in different ways for over half an hour. The situation was starting to make her panic. It really seemed like...
But I'm trying to, so that he doesn't see my phone. Like, where is he now? Look at that. He's really sketchy.
Fortunately, just as night began to fall, a family in an RV pulled up behind Lisa's van and decided to spend the night in the same parking lot. Their presence comforted her enough to stay there for the evening. Disturbingly, the man left shortly after the family's arrival but returned about 3 hours later, in the middle of the night, likely to check if Lisa was still there. Seeing that the family was also still in the parking lot, he left again and did not return. The next morning, Lisa left early and never saw him again. It's hard to say what the man's real intentions were, but considering his suspicious behavior and disturbing actions, they couldn't have been anything good. One thing is certain: the arrival of the RV family was providential. Without them, who knows what that man might have done to Lisa. The Rampant Range is part of the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and is made up almost entirely of public land located within Pike National Forest. During the summer, many cyclists take advantage of the Rampant Range's complex trail system to explore the lush outdoor areas. This region of Colorado is largely a paradise for nature enthusiasts. However, in recent years, a concerning phenomenon has emerged. Some individuals have begun stringing wires between trees at head height with the intent to seriously injure cyclists on the trails. In 2019, a Facebook post brought this disturbing trend to light, recounting how the author's high school friend had lost his life after hitting a similar wire during an outing. The news sparked strong reactions in the comments, with many users highlighting how horrific such an act is and how anyone caught doing this should be charged with attempted murder. A couple of years earlier, in 2017, two motorcyclists had shared a YouTube video of their experience with a similar wire. Fortunately, they were unharmed, but it had been a very close call. When these wires are placed off trails, it can be difficult to determine whether they were set up with malicious intent or, for example, if a camper or farmer used them to hang clothes or for other similar purposes. However, in cases like these where the wires are deliberately placed on the trail, the only plausible reason is to cause serious harm to cyclists. Perhaps the individuals responsible are annoyed by the constant noise of bikes near their property, or there may be another motive. In any case, it is hoped that more effective measures will be adopted in the future to prevent further injuries, especially since it is not uncommon to hear about motorcyclists and snowmobilers losing their lives due to such incidents.